As a quick reminder, please do add your name and affiliation in the chat and display box. This meeting will also be recorded. When we are asking, or if you have questions, we will be asking for your name as well as organization as well, just for recording purposes. For today, we're going to be starting with welcome and introductions. Welcome. City Data Services will be doing an application demo. We'll be doing key definitions of public facilities, CHODO requirements, indirect costs, the budget table, federal fund requirements, Davis-Bacon, Section 3, MIBI-WIBI, and BABA. Scope of the NOFA, which will be for Redwood City, San Mateo, the city, San Mateo County, and South San Francisco. And then finally, a quick Q&A session to end off this TA session. So with that, I am going to stop share at this moment, and then I'm going to hand this over to Kristen from City Data Services.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So I'm going to be going through this application process. Let me just look at kind of the chat just to see. Okay, I see a lot of familiar names, a lot of familiar agencies in here. The first thing I'm going to talk about is how to apply through CDS if you are a new CDS user or if you haven't used CDS in years. So the way to do this, and this is all written down in documentation that the county has, but I'll also put the information in the chat as well. So if you are a new user or you haven't used CDS in a couple years, meaning like it's been a couple fiscal years since you've used it, you're going to use SMC 2026. Let me put this in the chat right now as your username and your password. So you're going to log into that. We're going to click go. That takes you to this page. So it has a little reminder. If you've already been funded by San Mateo jurisdictions, you don't need to do this. You can just use your already existing login. Again, if it's been a couple years, I do just recommend setting up a new account just because things have updated on our side. So if it's been, I would say, more than 3 years since you were last funded and have used CDS, I would say let's just go ahead and make you a new login. We can always link you to your old programs if you wanted to look at your old programs from years back. But just given how things have updated, this is probably the best bet. So new users, or if you haven't used it in 3 years, let's make you a new account. So the way that you do this is you type your agency name, pretty straightforward, your address, city, zip, very straightforward contact information. The contact email, please, please, please double, triple check that it's in there correctly. All of your communication will go through there. Once you're logged in with your new login, you can change that. You can update what email gets contacted. But we've had very many people be like, they typed it in wrong and then they never got their email with their login, or they're just like, I don't know where it went. It never came through. So just make sure that you're typing in the email correctly and double checking all of that. Once you fill this out, you can click this checkbox to copy agency information to program, and that'll just bring everything down for you, except for program name. You'll have to put that in because that's usually different than the agency name. We have the drop-down menu to what you're applying to. So Redwood City, San Mateo County, South San Francisco, City of San Mateo. And then we have the type of application. So we have public facilities, capital projects, and joint application. All of those are being led by San Mateo County. So once you fill out the form, you'll click request an account, and then it will give you your login. It'll also send an email to you. So again, putting in that email correctly is super important. Once you're logged in, you can change that, of course, but for right now, super important that that information gets put in correctly so that you can get your login information. So like I said, it'll give you a page that has your login information. It will also email a copy to you so you have it saved. Once you get that information, you're going to come back to the login page. Let me put in my little test login, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is a login I made as a new user. I just copy and paste it in. I'm going to click go. Okay, cool. So I've logged in. This is my kind of test example portal. So when you log in, you see on the right-hand side, you have these 3 green buttons. We have apply for your San Mateo County Public Facilities, San Mateo County Capital Projects / Housing Funds, and San Mateo County Joint Application. So if I click into any of these, like let's say I want to do the joint application, it'll open up the application. If I just scroll down to the bottom and click save, it'll populate.
Or one
Sorry.
little quick question or a comment, Kristen, is the joint
Yeah.
application is not just for the county of San Mateo, but it's
Right.
also for, so maybe you want to mention it's for the other cities as well.
Yes, it's for the other cities as well. And we can update how this button looks. I think this is just what we had landed on. It's for other cities as well. I'll show you kind of how that looks like in the application. But basically, it won't appear on your main page until you click into it, until you click this button. You got to click the button. You got to save the application as a draft, and then it'll appear on your main page. Clicking this, you just, it won't make it magically appear on the main page. You have to click it, save it, and then it'll appear here. So once it does appear here, you'll be able to click into the application from the main page. So where it says draft application FY26, I can click on that. It'll take me to my application. In the application itself, it has, the information up at the top. It has links to all of the different NOFAs. These are all just PDFs that we were sent, so it's there for you. You can update your organization name, project title. You can click all of these different options to say who you're applying for funding for. Once you fill out this top section, so let's say I want to do Redwood City, City San Mateo, South City, and the county, and I want to do public services. In this red text right here, after you make your selections, click here to format the remainder of your application. I have to enter program title. Oh, well, see, there you go. CDS test example. There we go. Click there, and now you see this table updated to reflect all of the all the jurisdictions that I'm requesting money from. And then lower down in the application, it will have specific jurisdiction questions, and the budget table will also update. So important that you do this part first before you proceed down further down the page. If you don't do this part, it won't format the application correctly, and you won't see the ability to fill out the questions or the budget tables for all of these jurisdictions. So that's kind of the really first important step of doing this. And I realize that I've gotten a little bit ahead myself just talking about how to log in as a new user. If you are an existing user, let me save this as a draft. If you are an existing user, you can log in with your normal San Mateo County, City of San Mateo, South City, Redwood City login for your CDS portal. And under this application column for your existing programs, you'll see an apply for FY26-27 in this column. So you'll see that. You'll be able to click on it, and it'll open up the application. And that's for the joint application. If it's specifically for capital projects or public facilities, you will have to use the button. If you wanted to create a new application for a program that's entirely new, like let's say this past fiscal year you've done work in a school, but going forward you want to do like a homeless shelter, you would use this button to create an entirely new application and program. Does that make sense? So if you have a new program, click this button. If you want to apply for a program that is already existing in CDS, but you want to, apply for a new contract for that existing program going forward so that it continues to exist in the new fiscal year, you would use the link that is associated with the program. Any questions on that conceptually? Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to go back into the application itself. So like I said, the top part is really important. It'll tell you if you're in the joint application, it'll tell you if you're looking for the public facilities or the housing one, this is the wrong application. So we do try to keep all of our applications as organized as possible. So just know what you're applying for. And it's also usually listed in the heading as well. As you can see, again, all of the NOFAs are here for you. I already talked about how important this top section is. please do it before moving on to the application. We've had some people in the past not do that. They don't click this button, and it just messes with the application. They don't see all their jurisdictions that they're applying for, just because it doesn't know that you want to do that. So we have it in red, we have it in bold, we have it in a box, but please do remember to do that. Going further down the application, pretty, straightforward. These are radio buttons. These are check boxes. You can unselect things. These are narrative sections that you can type into or copy and paste into. We have drop-down menus for agency types. Pretty standard, form completion options here. I will say it's super, super important to remember to save as you go. The system does log you out after a period of inactivity for security reasons. So if you step away from your computer, or if you get called into a meeting or something comes up, my recommendation is, even if you think you're only going to be gone for a couple minutes, just save before you walk away, or before you, hop on that meeting or whatever you're doing. Because if you don't save and it does log you out, it won't automatically save for you. So I would hate for you to fill out a bunch of information, get pulled into a meeting, forget to click save, and then come back, an hour or two later, and not save. So please, please, please save as you go. Anytime you get away from your computer, or anytime you have to get pulled into something else, just go ahead and click save. Another thing to keep in mind is that you can't have two people working on the same application at the same time. The system won't know which version to save, so it's likely that one version will get saved, but it won't be both. So if I'm working on this and I have a team member who's also helping me on this application, we would need to coordinate who's working on it at what time. So just know that we've had some issues with that, where people are trying to work on the same thing at the same time, and then it's saving one person's version and not the other person, and then they're both emailing us saying, oh, so-and-so's work didn't get saved, because they're both clicking save at the same time. So just know that only one person should be working on your application at a time, and save as often as possible. Just because, again, it does log you out for security reasons. We do have a little warning about it, but a lot of people miss that. So I want to make sure that we're all, not wasting time, and we're all doing this as efficiently as possible. Okay, so those are the two main, when people are like, things got lost, it's just because it's not being saved before they leave, or someone else is working on it. As we go down the application, you can see the different questions for the different jurisdictions. All 4 of these came up because, again, up at the top, I selected all 4. This is just kind of highlighting how important it is to complete that top section before moving on. If you come down here, we have just straightforward tables, number of persons, households, population served. We do have our save and continue buttons throughout the application, and we also have a save as draft button down at the bottom. These are the different race and ethnicity tables for the different jurisdictions. Anytime you see this green pastel box, that's your opportunity to add in the number of line items you need. I believe we do have a limit of, I want to say 10, but it could be more. It's either 10 or 25. I would need to check. But if you do need more, please let us know. I'll just kind of show you an example. Let's say I'll put in 10. I'll scroll back down. You put the number in and you hit return on your keyboard, or you just click outside of that pastel green box. It'll reload and it'll have all of these line items for you. And then you just type in, John Smith, the position title is CFO. Here's what he does, and here's his qualifications. So that's there for you. Anytime you put in a number here and click enter or click outside of it, it does also save your application, because it does need to reload. So it does save it. So don't worry if you've typed in something here. I mean, again, best practice is to always click save, but if you've typed in something here and then you want to add another line item, it will save once you put in, say I change this to 11, it will save. So that's there for you. I will mention, and this is really more of a problem down in the budget table, if I put in 5 for labor lines, And let's say I put in information for 5, but then I realize, oh, actually, you know what? I think I just need the first 3. You should delete out the information in the bottom 2, because those don't automatically blank out, because we had some issues where people would change their mind and they say they want 3, they want 5, and then they'd get mad that their information automatically deleted. So it doesn't automatically delete anymore. So you would need to manually do that. If you don't manually do that, so let's say I have like 5 positions and 5, amounts of money requested, and then I change this to 3, the amount of money requested can still get counted because it's there, it's just hidden. So it'll mess with your end total. So I will say best practice is if you put in information and then you change your mind, I only want 3 people, just make sure you delete these lines out, blank them out so they're, zeroed, and then change this to 3. Just because it'll save it for you, because we've had people, again, kind of go back and forth on this. So it doesn't automatically delete. You would need to do it yourself. So that's just a little reminder. That's a common issue that I see where people are wondering why their total isn't totaling correctly. But again, these pastel green buttons, there for you to put in number of line items. The indirect cost rate will round to the nearest 5th decimal. So if I put like 15.12345 6, and then click outside of it, it'll just go 15.12346. That was how we were told to set it up. It's how rounding works. So that's just how that looks. If you have any questions on the why or the why, that would go probably to the county or whichever jurisdiction you're applying to, but that's just how it works, and that's just how the rounding functions. Yeah, that's there for you. Again, pretty straightforward. Explain your budget, click these buttons, check boxes, and then attachments. So all the attachments are required. You will get a warning pop up, and you will not be able to submit your application if you're missing attachments. So just know that. I recommend you start the application sooner rather than later. Like, don't try to, I mean, you can, right? You can open an application the day that it's due, but I don't recommend it because it's pretty comprehensive and it takes time. And, you want to make sure you have enough time to do this well. But you do need to do all the attachments. Again, if you have any questions on the attachments, like any content questions, those should go to the jurisdiction you're applying to. Any software questions should come to us. All I know is that you got to do all these attachments in order to submit, and you will not be able to submit if you're missing applications. Like I said, you'll get a warning pop up, and then you won't be able to submit it. It'll save it as a draft, but it won't submit. So we have upload instructions that come up as a pop-up window. And then down here, we also have the upload documents page. You'll see the document type listed. You'll see if there are any attachments there. And then you'll be able to upload your document. So you can either click choose file and pick it from your computer, or if you have a Finder window open, you can drag and drop your file to here. And then click upload document. So choose file, select your file, and then upload document. It's just like when you attach something to an email. Once you attach it, it will be listed as current attachment, and then it'll be, when you go back to the application, it will be listed right here. Again, you do need to have all of these attachments uploaded in order to submit.
And just one quick, sorry, Kristen, one quick comment on that. If there's an attachment that isn't relevant, say that they're asking for an environmental review or something that hasn't been done, just write a one line, say not applicable and why, and upload the document so you're able to move forward. So that's the way to be able to make sure you can move forward even if an attachment is not applicable.
Perfect. Alrighty. And then we do have this note. The limit for documents is 60. If you have an extreme case of needing to upload more than that, I think you should email both CDS and the jurisdiction you're applying to, because that's just a lot of attachments. So 60 is what we were told in the past. again, so I think if you had more than that, you should ping the jurisdiction you're applying to and CDS, and we can talk about whether that makes sense or not. But if you try to do more than 60, you will get an error message and it'll not let you upload anymore. So if you're wondering what's happening there, that's what's happening there. Alrighty, great. Down at the bottom, we do have a Save as Draft button. Like I said, we have the Save and Continue buttons throughout the application, which you should click, or you can come down to the bottom and click Save as Draft. Both work. Both will save as a draft. Both will save all of your work. Once you're ready to submit your application, you have the disclosure you got to read through. You click this I certify box, just like that, and you type your name in here, submit application. And like I said, if you try to submit without, filling out or uploading all the attachments, you will get a warning. So, do leave yourself enough time to make sure that you have time to upload all of the required documentation. Once you submit, it'll go to your reports page. Let me save this as a draft. Once you submit, it's currently under draft reports because I didn't submit it, but once you do submit, it'll go under the heading of reports awaiting county review or city review, depending on, your application. And you'll see that it has, it's there. It's waiting for them to take a look at it. You're also going to get a confirmation email. You'll get an email from, I think it's info@citydataservices.com saying, thank you for your submission. This application, your program name was submitted on this day at this time. Congrats. Not actually congratulations. I don't think we have that in there, but it's, you submitted it. There you go. But if you're ever like, oh, I wonder if they've taken a look at it yet, or if they've approved it yet, you can always come in here and see where it's at in the process. So that's kind of how the applications work. I kind of went over common pitfalls already. So not saving frequently enough is a big one. Trying to have two people work on the same application at the same time is a big one. Not deleting out your line items in the budget table can cause issues with the totaling. And then uploading attachments, don't do more than 60. That's just a lot of attachments. That's a lot of documents. And again, if there is whatever reason that needs to get updated to be a higher number, that'll have to be a discussion between us and the jurisdictions. But that's what we've had in the past, and I think that's kind of what we've landed on. So any questions on any of this? Let me see if I can get the chat to load. Oops. I lost the chat. Okay, I don't see any. I'm just trying to see. It's been a little bit since I've used Zoom. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anything.
I don't see any raised hands.
Okay.
Oh, there's a question in chat.
Okay. Special funding for East Palo Alto. Can you please review how our application should indicate we're opening to receiving those funds? Should we just provide?
I'll jump in on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you for the question. For East Palo Alto, the city of East Palo Alto is likely going to provide funding for a minor home repair program in their city. And therefore, you would use the joint application. You need to do a specific application for that funding separate from other programs. And you would need to note in there, there's a right there is East Palo Alto. So you would do the joint application. You would mark the East Palo Alto one, and this would be specific for those funds that are available for the program in East Palo Alto. And then if you had another, say, program that you wanted to do, a minor home repair program across the county, then you would do a joint application for the minor home repair program across the county, or let's say you want to do a minor home repair program in South San Francisco or San Mateo or Redwood City, you would also click on that button. And you need a separate application for each type of funding that every program and every type of funding you're applying for.
Okay, cool. Any other questions on this? I think I see a hand raised. Michelle?
Okay.
So this isn't necessarily a question about filling out the application. It's more about the amount of funding we should request. If we have a program that's been funded, is the suggestion that we continue to ask for the level of funding we have now, or are we able to propose different amounts?
I'll speak for the county, and then maybe the cities can jump in if they have a different answer. This is a new 2-year cycle, and so you can apply for whatever you believe is required or would be helpful for you to deliver on your mission. So you aren't constrained to what you've done in the past. You can look at the funding, allocations and get an idea of overall funding, but there isn't. The county we will talk about, our new minimum funding is 50,000. So say, for example, you get 25 de facto, then you'd have to go higher. But there is no, you're not tied to what has been in the past. And I guess I invite any of the cities, if there's a different answer, please jump in, or we can assume that it's the same for every jurisdiction.
So just so I understand, the minimum ask for the county is 50,000. Does that include for public service programs?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We have a couple questions in the chat. There's one from Danny. If you're simply applying for capital improvement in Redwood City, would you
I think
upper side or just Redwood City? Did it cut out?
It did cut out, but I think I see it. If you're applying for capital project, capital improvement for Redwood City. Let's see. Yes, on the Redwood City tab. Let me share my screen again. On the Redwood City tab, specifically just for the city itself, not the San Mateo County application, there is a Redwood City Housing or Public Facilities funding application that you could access. You need to click this button and open it up, a whole thing, but if you're just for the city, then it's there for them. They have their own application process going on.
Thank you.
And there's a question from Josue.
Question. Sorry, Kristen, could you clarify if that is, if it's a new applicant? We were told that they would have to use a shared one for public facilities and housing.
Once they're logged in, they will be able to access the Redwood City tab, but to access just this application, they could use I think it's, Joe's working on that application, but I think it's Red. Hold on, I have it. Yes, Red 2026. So if they wanted to just access the Redwood City one, they could use that one, that login. We did that just because we didn't want to confuse new applicants by just having the San Mateo County login, because then it just gets a little bit confusing, I think, from the user side. So if you're just applying to Redwood City, they do have their own application login and application, it's its own thing. It's separate from the county for at least the housing and public facilities. The joint application is the same across all of the sub jurisdictions, but if you're only applying for Redwood City housing or public facilities, it's its own separate application. Oops. Well, here you go. That's that for it. But anyways, let's go back to the county. Let's see. Is income verification required for both CBG and HSFA funding? I think that's a jurisdiction question. I don't know if someone from the county wants to take that.
That would be the county. Is that Redwood City?
It's in the chat, so I just.
Oh no, I'm
sure.
sorry. I'm wondering which jurisdiction has the HSFA
That's
funding.
Redwood City, but Karen and I might suggest we finish our presentation because I think that may answer some of these other questions that are more programmatic specific.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, cool.
So we'll circle back to you, Nicole, on that question.
I guess just to wrap up my part then, any specific software, accessing CDS, how to work the system questions? If anything comes up, I'm going to drop the support email in the chat, and it's also on the website as well. I believe it's also in the NOFA documentation, but that is there for you. Like I said earlier, any software questions, or you think there's a bug, or you need help learning how to work the system, email the support. Any content related questions like income verification, that's way above my pay grade. That goes to the jurisdiction you're applying to. Okay, all good, all good. I'm not seeing any hands raised. Okay, then I think we're good. And of course, if anything comes up, send us an email, and we will help you as best as we can. But my best advice is save as often as you can, start the application early, and good luck, everyone, I suppose. And let me know if you need anything. San Mateo County team, are you guys good if I hop off?
I think we are good. We are good.
Okay, awesome.
Wonderful.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Alrighty. So going back, that was the presentation from CDS in regards to how to apply. We're going to be going into more of the terms, into the definitions of what you're going to be seeing. So the first one is public facilities. And I believe this is on Rachel.
Oh, there I am. Hello. Hi, I'm Rachel Horst from the City of San Mateo, and I will be talking just about the definition of public facility. So, public facilities are the definition, well, one definition is in here, but the key to a public facilities improvement is that it is for an improvement of a facility, a building, interior, exterior that is publicly owned or is owned by a nonprofit, and also is open to the general public. So is open to the public during normal working hours. On the slide, we have examples of eligible activities. Another key element of public facilities improvements is that they are not operations or maintenance costs. They are costs associated with, for example, acquisition, construction, reconstruction, rehab, or installation of public facilities or improvements or capital improvements for things like facilities serving target populations like homeless or domestic violence centers, nursing homes or group homes, food banks, senior centers, neighborhood facilities, etc. So for those jurisdictions that have the public facilities funding available, these are the types of projects that we are looking to fund.
The next is, my name's Karen Kopic. I'm with the County of San Mateo, talking about a community housing development organization, or CHODO. So a CHODO is a private nonprofit organization that has staff in the capacity to develop affordable housing for the community. Every year, the county and anyone who receives home funding, any jurisdiction, we need to allocate 15% of a minimum of 15% of our allocation for a CHODO housing-led project. You don't have to be certified by the county to apply. You can actually become certified as a CHODO during the application process. And you can use the CHODO funds as you would use for any other home funds, which is for the construction of new affordable housing, for acquisition, rehabilitation, could be homeowner or multifamily rental properties. We do have a minimum for the county of at least around $410,000 for CHODOs, but all the way up to the full home amount of 3.7 million. So we do encourage people to apply as a CHODO, and the application is included right in the NOFA, and we can work with you all to make sure that that is fully completed if you're interested in that. Thank you.
I think this is mine. Hi, I'm Medea Huck. I'm the housing specialist with the City of Redwood City. As you're working on your budget for your applications, we just wanted to give a brief overview of indirect costs versus direct costs. And if you have specific questions about your agency or the rate you wish to use, definitely reach out to whatever entity you're applying to, because again, these are really brief So basically, indirect costs are incurred for shared or joint objectives. They are not readily identified with any particular activity or program, which means essentially indirect costs are essential for the organization's functioning, but they are shared by more than one program. Alternatively, direct costs are costs that are directly identified with a particular or or activity relatively easily with a high degree of accuracy. So there's usually a one-to-one benefit between your direct cost and the program you're funding. Could I go to the next slide? There are a few different methods for calculating indirect costs, but the most relevant for nonprofit agencies are either using a negotiated rate or a de minimis rate, which is right now 15%. Negotiated rate is when the agencies negotiate an indirect cost rate with the federal department that is their cognizant agency, and that usually means the federal agency that your organization gets the most federal funding for. These rates are valid for a few years and they must be periodically renegotiated. The other option is the de minimis. They recently increased that rate from 10% to 15%. And this is for agencies that do not currently have and have never had a negotiated indirect cost rate, and that includes a provisional rate that was negotiated. One of the common misconceptions we see is that agencies are using the de minimis rate just flat against the program costs, but it actually requires calculating what the modified total direct cost is. And we've given an example of the things that are included in that base and what's commonly excluded. And then key considerations. You must be consistent in how your agency categorizes costs as indirect or direct. You cannot double dip or double charge. For example, you can't include admin personnel's non-programmatic time and then also request an indirect cost rate. And then just to reiterate, make sure you're calculating the modified total direct cost correctly before you're applying the de minimis rate. Next slide. So we've put together an example budget table for an agency that received a $100,000 award, and they would like to use the de minimis rate. One thing to consider is that the total indirect and direct costs should not exceed the award amount. So the total costs are between the direct costs like salary and fringe are $85,000, and then there's the occupancy expense of $2,250. For this particular agency, they're excluding that occupancy expense, and so then they're getting a base of $85,000 for their modified total direct cost, and then using 15% of that, they get $12,750, and then when you add that all together, that's $100,000. Again, if you have specific questions about your agency's calculation of the de minimis rate, or if you have already a negotiated rate, but you're in between getting it approved, reach out to the jurisdiction that you're applying to funds for. I think that's it.
Thank you so much. Then moving into federal funds and labor procurement. Oh, I believe there was a question. Oh, thank you for answering that, Karen.
I didn't answer that.
Karen Camacho. She answered. All right. And then going into the federal funds and labor procurement requirements. Oh, and so with that, the first one we're going to be going over is Davis-Bacon. Davis-Bacon is applicable with CDBG and home, depending on residential construction with 8 or more for CDBG, or non-residential construction with CDBG funds of 2,000 or more. In regards with home, all non-residential construction projects with contracts that involve 12 or more home units, and that is determined depending on how much of the home allocation is in the total project, and that is an allocation that is determined through a HUD tool that has been provided and taught to us as well. Going into the next is section 3. hard construction cost of construction activities that are equal or greater to 200,000, including land acquisition only projects. And this is applicable for both CDBG and home. And lastly, on this specific slide is the minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses, MeBe, and VB. Any dollar amount and any type of project that must be procured, contracts of 10,000 or more that are qualified for these minority contracts of 10,000 or more that are offered to qualified to minority and women-owned businesses will be reported to HUD. And then on the last column that you can see are direct links from HUD, and that you're going to be able to use. We'll be having this slide deck open and all of these links clickable so that you're able to reference them. And then with federal funds procurement and the requirements themselves, one of them is Buy America, Build America Act, BABA or BAP. And one of it was to, bolster America's industrial base and protect national security and support high-paying jobs. With this, it was in Act 41 and applicable to all rules and notices, funded by the federal financial assistance and domestic content for all iron, steel, manufactured products, and construction material used, depending on when the HUD funding was awarded. Usually at this moment right now, all forms of BABA will be applicable. And then a lot of it will be focused on infrastructure projects such as housing construction, rehabilitation, community facilities, construction, and homeless shelter construction and rehabilitation. It's implemented at the bidding documents and contracts covered for these specific projects. Self-certification compliance is signed, which is an optional certification form that you could use. And for more information, please do visit the HUD website. Then on the right, you'll see all the covered construction materials that are required under BABA. Great. Then going into this, there's also general waivers that you could apply for depending on what type of construction and or rehabilitation that you're going to be working on. There are small grants where there is a threshold of 250,000. This waiver is currently in effect of November 23. There's a de minimis where 5% of the project that could be used can be, or it's 5% or up to $1 million that can be used in that idea of all these construction materials that won't be subject to BABA specifically. And then there's also exigent circumstances where the waiver is an urgent need and this construction needs to be done in immediate attention. There's also other specific waivers that you're able to look at. There's a long list, and you could definitely see that within the link that is provided in this slide. All righty, Redwood City, you are up.
Sorry about that. Could you go to the next slide, please? So this year we are anticipating that we will have about 15,000 in CDBG available for fair housing, 130,000 for public services, and then 460,000 for economic development, minor home rehab, public facilities, and housing capital projects. We will have 150,000 available for human services financial assistance, and this is the city's specific funding that is for basic human needs services. These amounts are estimates for CDBG because the actual allocations for 2026 are not yet available, and they are subject to congressional budget appropriation. We also wanted to highlight that 2026 will be the first year the city is a part of the San Mateo County Home Consortium. So this means that moving forward, the city's home allocation will be pooled with other consortium members for projects throughout the county. While this could mean more competition for home funds, it will also increase the overall amount of funding available. So if you have a project within Incorporated Redwood City that you're interested in applying for home funds, please apply through the county's NOFA. Next slide. Just an overview of the funding restrictions. CDBG and HSFA, they have different eligibility criteria. Please refer to the NOFA for those descriptions. The city does not accept applications from multiple funding sources for the same activity. And we continue to have the grant minimums we had last year, which is $15,000 for CDBG and $10,000 for HSFA. Next slide. So this is the first year of our 2-year cycle, as Karen mentioned. And so our CDBG programs that are public services for housing, economic development, and minor home repair, those go on 2-year cycles. And then housing, public facilities, and HSFA are on a 1-year cycle. Next slide. Just an overview of the schedule and process. Please note that for CDBG and HSFA, there's different Housing and Human Concerns committee meetings for the presentations and when the deliberations will happen. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about the presentations in the next slide. So all applicants for CDBG and Human Services Financial Assistance are required to give a presentation to our Housing and Human Concerns Committee. For CDBG, that will be February 24th, and then 24th, sorry. And then for HSFA, that will be March 10th. In terms of formats, the agency will have 3 minutes to verbally present highlights of program and projects. And then HHCC will have 2 minutes to ask clarifying questions. Failure to participate in the mandatory presentation can impact your score. How to apply for CDBG. Applications can be accessed through City Data Services. If you're interested in applying for Human Services Financial Assistance, we've listed the staff contacts for that, which is Adila Huck-Smith and Mary Martinez. And then, again, the city's contact information. I think there was a question about income verification for HSFA. I believe Mary is on the call, who is our staff coordinator for HSFA.
Yeah, I'm here, Medea.
Okay. Could you answer that question about whether HSFA requires income verification?
So who has that question?
Somebody had posted that in the chat.
It was Larry Moody, and then Karen Camacho submitted a response.
No, actually,
No, it was
Nicole
Nicole.
Barth Ellis
Yeah.
from Job Train.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I'm just not seeing where these questions are. So income verification for the organizations, are we speaking about for the community members that are being served?
I believe that was the intent. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again. I didn't hear that.
I believe they were asking about income verification for clients that are served, but I don't know if Nicole, if you'd like to clarify that question.
I can't hear Nicole. I'm sorry.
Hi, this is Larry Moody. I'm Nicole's colleague at Job Train, and I believe her question is for client income verification.
Yeah, so we do have guidelines for the clients, and so yes, the answer is yes. We just don't ask for it ourselves. Like we're not going to ask for that information ourselves. It's just a requirement that you do. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
And just, sorry, this is the Lynn Lancaster with the City of Redwood City. Nicole was also asking whether a CDBG requires income verification, and I would say generally yes as well.
Hi, this is Larry Moody again. So is the income verification for clients, is that a part of the application process, or is that something that requires a box to be checked off on our end to notify the city or the county that we have verified their income?
So sorry, I'll answer on my end for HSFA. So like I just mentioned, we do have guidelines of the community members that we serve, and that is going to be based on the community members' income, if that makes sense.
And I can answer for CDBG. Typically, agencies do capture that information as a part of the intake process. And for CDBG, there are, depending on the population that's being served, there are specific requirements about what income levels are eligible. And so the different jurisdictions do go out and monitor those client files to verify that that income documentation was verified before they were given services.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all. And then just another quick reminder, we will also be having a longer Q&A session at the end. So we'll be able to address more of those questions that we have then as well. But moving toward, we're looking at the City of San Mateo CDBG 2026-2027 NOFA. City of San Mateo.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Mora. I'm a housing specialist for the City of San Mateo's Housing and Neighborhood Services, and I'll be just going into more detail of our CDBG 2026-2027 NOFA. Next slide, please. So we currently have our NOFA open for a community funding program for the fiscal year 2026-27. This community funding program is the City of San Mateo's CDBG program. We are accepting applications for the following eligible activities. So for public services, we have an estimated budget amount of $114,800. We also are accepting applications for minor home repair and the estimated amount of $107,000, economic development for $80,000, and for housing for $25,000. I do want to emphasize that the budget amounts are currently estimated, so we will establish confirmed amounts in the following months. Next slide, please. We are accepting new applications from new applicants in this NOFA round. Our community funding program operates on a 2-year cycle, which we are starting our first year for 2026-27. If awarded, applicants who are received an award will apply for a second year of the cycle next year. Going back to our budget, going back to our budget, public services are capped at 15% of our total entitlement amount. So to give a better idea of how much we receive annually based on our entitlement for this current fiscal year, we are a budget of $114,800, and we were able to award 9 subrecipients at $16,400 each. Again, funding for minor home repair, economic development, and fair housing is currently to be determined. But based on the amounts that I provided, applicants may propose an award amount in their application. Next slide, please. We are also receiving applications for our public facilities NOFA. Public facilities run on a 1-year cycle instead of a 2-year. Applicants may apply for a public facilities project with their proposed budget. We are estimating to have about $100,000 to $200,000 for public facilities. And we are accepting applications for any of the eligible activities such as acquisition, construction, reconstruction, and rehab projects for public facilities in City of San Mateo bounds. Next slide, please. Moving on to our NOFA timeline. Applications open on December 2nd through CDS and will remain open until January 15th. All applications will be accepted through CDS by 4 p.m. On February 18th, 2026 at 7 p.m., the Community Relations Commission will meet and review all NOFA applications and make funding recommendations. I do want to encourage any applicants to attend this meeting because you'll receive more up-to-date status on your application. Based on those funding recommendations made on that meeting, housing staff will incorporate those funding recommendations into the annual action plan, which will then bring to the Community Relations Commission again on March 18th, again at 7 p.m. And if approved, we will then bring those funding recommendations and the annual action plan onto our City Council on May 4th for a public hearing. If it all goes smoothly, we will start our grant agreements on July 1st, 2026. Next slide, please. For any NOFA related questions, please submit your questions to our housing email at housingofcitysanmateo.org. If I also have our contact information below, but it's better if you submit your questions through the housing email. I do want to share the username and password for a public facilities application, and this is only if you're a new user. Let's see, I think I see a question. So I have a question from Milani is the estimated amounts for each category, is that the total estimate for the 2-year cycle or for just 1 year? The estimated amounts are just for 1 year. And I don't think there's any questions, but how Elazar mentioned, we will have a longer Q&A at the end. And that should be it for City San Mateo. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, and now it's County of San Mateo's Department of Housing. I just remembered I did not introduce myself correctly, so hi everyone, my name is Elazar Malabanan. I am an HCD specialist with the County of San Mateo Department of Housing. For this is year 1 in a 2-year cycle for public services. We're doing CDBG and home for capital and public facilities projects. We're doing CDBG economic development, which is a larger array of various programs from Meals on Wheels and stuff, and pretty much all of those that have been funded in the past. Then we have federal ESG and PLHA services for persons experiencing homelessness. We have CDBG and minor home repair and home modification. City of East Palo Alto has the minor home repair program and state ESG. With that, for the applications, we have the housing development and rehab, which was shown, housing development and rehab, public facilities development improvements, and community development services and minor home repair programs. These were all shown in the CDS description or demonstration, and you could see all the different types of applications. If you're doing a housing development and or rehab, please apply for San Mateo County FY26-27 capital projects and housing funds. If you're doing a public facility, the San Mateo FY26-27 public facilities funding. And lastly, community development services and minor home repair programs, please apply for the San Mateo County joint application. These are all going to be due on 4 p.m. PST on Thursday, January 15th. Highly recommended to submit your application early. And when you're doing your application, please do save a lot. The estimated funding for the 2026-2027 fiscal year, including all of them, will be $2,306,592 for capital development projects. There is a set aside for Chodos for about $410,443. Reminder for Chodos that yes, this is set aside for you, but you do not have to cap yourself at 410. You are welcome to ask for more. For housing preservation and public facilities, $599,975. For shelter ops, rapid rehousing, $510, $535. For minor home repair, $550,000. For minor home repair, specifically for the city of East Palo Alto in this collaboration, $100,000. For public services, $434,698. And lastly, for rapid rehousing, specifically with ESG, $143,480,000. And these are all based off our previous allocations on fiscal year 25-26. Here are going to be eligible activities. CDBG is housing preservation, going down permanent. We have property acquisition and rehabilitation. For new housing, it's conversion of non-residential buildings to housing. And soft cost and pre-development are not eligible uses for county CDBG funding. And what we mean by that is just soft cost and pre-development. So if we are just doing soft cost and pre-development, we will not consider that eligible. But if you're doing that along with the actual construction and rehabilitation, it is definitely eligible. For public facilities, we have property acquisition, rehabilitation, demolition and site clearance, disposition, soft cost pre-development, relocation, and new construction. And then for home, we are doing property acquisition, rehabilitation, demo, disposition, relocation, new construction, and conversion of non-residential buildings to housing. And then with that note, soft cost pre-development, that same idea of like just doing those specific activities are not going to be eligible, but if it is in tandem with the actual development and that you will be breaking ground and putting shovels to the ground within a year and having the project completed within 4, it is definitely something that could be up for discussion in the contracting and development of that contract. Great. So new project locations and city coordination. So if you are proposing a new project that's located with any city's jurisdiction, the city manager from that city must be notified and evidence of this notification must be kept. You're encouraged to seek a response and letter acknowledging this notification. Projects in unincorporated do not require notification to the county executive. And in terms of contacts, for contacts for the county of San Mateo, you could contact Karen Kopic, the HCD supervisor, or myself, Elazar Malabanan. We also have links directly to our federal and winter state funds NOFA that you're able to look more in depth about the different guidelines, what we're looking for, priorities, as well as timeline. Application submission will be through CDS.
And I just want to, one final little thing. We will be publishing this, a recording of this session, and then also the question and answers that came from this session on our website. So if anybody wants to review or couldn't make it, et cetera, that will be there.
Thank you. And looking at questions, Karen has a note that the City of East Palo Alto minor home repair is contingent on city approval. It is still pending. Allison from Legal Aid as what is and will be the impact of HUD policy addenda on CDBG contracts?
Yeah, so that's a interesting question. Right now, things are changing, as everybody knows, very quickly with the federal government, and we're really not clear what the federal requirements will be for the fiscal year 26-27 funds. Also, the requirements may be implemented or adopted differently in different jurisdictions, depending on what's happening in their particular jurisdiction. We hope to know more as we enter in contract negotiations later in the year, but honestly, we're really not sure right now what impact or what the rules will look like in the new next cycle.
Thank you. Alrighty. So with that, we're going to be moving on. Reminder, if you have any other questions, we will have a longer Q&A at the end. So City of South San Francisco, you are up.
Thanks, Elazar. Good morning. My name is Alvina Condon, and I'm a Housing Management Analyst 2 with the City of South San Francisco. Next slide, please. So for program year 26-27, we are accepting applications for public services and minor home repair service providers. Applications this year are for a 2-year cycle, and funding amounts posted are for 1 year. And accepted applicants will have to probably do an abbreviated application for the second year as well. So estimated funding for South San Francisco's programs include our economic and community development general funds for about 100,000, housing trust, local housing trust funds, also for 100,000, and then we are also part of the home consortium with the county and the other jurisdictions, and there will be home administrative funds targeted for fair housing services for about 12,000. And as a reminder, these are estimated funding amounts, and we reserve the right to change things around for the funding sources once we receive everyone's applications. Next slide, please. So here's a general timeline, an estimated timeline for our processes. We have the same deadline for the application due date on January 15th, 2026 at 4 p.m. One event to highlight is we plan on having a community needs assessment public hearing in March. I hope to schedule that soon. So if you really want to know, you can reach out, email me, and I'll let you know. Probably by next week, I can have that information. And then we hope to finalize the final funding recommendations to council by the end of March 2026. Next slide, please. So our process is pretty simple and pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, please reach out and email me. Our NOFA is posted on our website under CDBG notices. If you have trouble finding that, please email me and I'll send you the link directly. Thank you.
All righty, thank you. Thank you so much. And then moving into that final Q&A, first off, I do want to thank all the attendees and applicants and the presenters, or future applicants. And with that, we are opening this for questions. So please do either enter a question in chat or use your raise hand feature. I see no raised hands, but I'll wait for folks to type. So there is a question there. How are migrant farm workers defined? Page 7 of Community Development Activities NOFA. And then from Puente de la Costa Sur, this is specifically to the County of San Mateo, correct?
That's a good question. I'm assuming it's related to presumed benefit populations. So we'd have to, unless another jurisdiction knows offhand, I think we'd have to look into that a little more deeply in terms of exactly how HUD defines that term. So we can add that to our FAQ document.
Thank you, Aaron. Any other questions? All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I just want to thank you all again for attending. I wish you the best of luck in the completion of your applications. And once again, we will be having this posted along with a Q&A document. And I wish you the best rest of your day. Bye-bye.